Hi guys, Jangro here, and welcome to episode 3 of this Valhelsia Volatile Let's Play. As you can see behind me, we have gone all in on Create. We've set up all the basic machines, all the way through creating brass, and then into some pretty serious automation. We're fully automating die creation using a combination of Botania and Create. You can see deployers back there. We got mechanical arms. There's a lot going on. So if you've ever wanted to see the entire process of setting up Create, this is the episode for you. We're going to go through all of those machines behind me. Before we do that, we're going to take a look back at what's been going on since the last episode. Yeah, so we have been busy since episode 2, getting ready to jump into all of these different mods. Let's take a quick look around while we talk about our plans. The direction I'm going to head with this series, I think, at least initially, is to kind of go to avoid the high-tech stuff. Mechanism was just added in. I'm going to not go there yet. Mechanism always seems to be a crutch for me, and because it's so easy with machines. And I'm going to take a little more balanced approach, and we're going to do some stuff with some more balanced technology like Create and immersive engineering and little logistics. Pneumaticraft is another one. So we've been mining a ton, mostly looking for diamonds, of course, but zinc, so we can get our andesite alloy, which of course requires lots of andesite. I've been mining manually with my pickaxe, which I got Fortune 3 on, thankfully. 2 mining turtles that I upgraded to advanced mining turtles. Kind of down here, doing some strip mining for me. Let's get these guys going. Gotta fuel them up. We've been into the nether, which is where I'm getting this anthracite, which is some nice fuel. Let's see, it uses that. So if we set turtles to tunnel, 200 blocks. So I've got these guys both going, and they're digging a 4-high, 3-wide tunnel, collecting all the resources for us. I have a villager trading hall. I've taken over this village. I've moved all the villagers down into a dungeon, essentially. That is down in here. And so we've got these guys. We've got a couple Fletchers and then all librarians with the good stuff. Infinity bow, looting sword. I want his ender pearls. Come here. What is this? A baby Enderman? Did I just pick a fight with a baby Enderman? Is he gonna kill me? Yes, he's gonna kill me. Well, I didn't know they were a thing, so lesson learned there. And also, as I mentioned, we have been to the nether looking for glowstone and quartz and those important things. The nether in Oh the Biomes You'll Go brings all sorts of new stuff. Brimstone and this blue netherrack. Really cool biomes. And we found a fortress. So we've got blaze rods. So we're going to go to sleep, and then we're going to come back. Oh, what in the world? What? It's a revenant army. What in the world is going on here? I don't know. I don't know what could... I don't know what could cause this. Oh, and I'm getting hungry, and I can't run anymore. Oh, jeez. Did that creeper just take them all out for me? Oh, he's fast, and I am in trouble. Let's go down the ladder. Oh. Okay, well, that was a little bit more of a chaotic start than I was expecting for this episode. I just wanted to give you a recap of what I've been doing. Since then, I've been doing a lot more, as you can see. This wall here is just kind of me testing out this color palette. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. I know it needs some more depth, but the color scheme I think is pretty cool for a factory. And these walls can just kind of wrap around. It's kind of a factory look to it. I'm not sure about what to do with the roof. So here's all the basic Create machines. But before we talk about those, let's look at where the rotational power is coming from. It's coming from these 4 water wheels with a water source on them. It's turning this shaft really slowly, and it's going through this series of gears, big connected to a little, through a shaft to a big, connected to a little, and it increases the speed significantly. These are going through these 3 gearboxes, which turn the power 90 degrees through the wall. And on the other side of the wall, we have a clutch, which is a redstone powered device that just stops rotation. So we can turn the machines on and off with a clutch. And that's important because if all these machines are running at the same time, it requires too many stress units from what those water wheels are giving us. We're going to want to upgrade that pretty soon. But this is good enough for now. This is just like necessary stuff to get started with Create. These are just individual standalone machines. We could chain them all together and do interesting factory automation type stuff. But initially, we just need these machines. And the first one we probably want to make is the mechanical press, because to progress much farther at all, to make a couple of these other machines, we need iron sheets or iron plates. And to get the engineer goggles and the wrench, which you really don't want to have to work and Create without these, you need gold plates. So let's just take a quick look at how this works. Let's make some more gold plates. This is the input chest. This is the output chest. These funnels pull from chests onto a belt and pull off a belt into a chest. You can set this whole thing up without this at all. Just put a depot right down here below. Drop an ingot on there or a bunch of ingots, and they'll all get smashed. So let's turn this on and we'll watch it work. And andesite funnels pull things out one at a time. Andesite anything is all very basic functionality. And there go the 3 sheets. Or did I put 4 in there? I might have had one in there already. And let's turn that off. Andesite alloy is the basic metal in Create. Then you get into brass stuff, which, when you progress into what they call the brass age. Then with brass funnels, you can pull out in blocks, stacks of 64, and they smash them all at once, and that's pretty cool. Speeds things up quite a bit. Filtering, and so brass is really what's needed for doing real automation. So we're just kind of getting going here. So not only do all these early machines allow you to make metal plates, you can also make some other special recipes that are pretty useful in Create, but and also in general. Specifically, you can make slime balls with this setup. If we look at the slime recipe, there is a recipe in the mixer, which is dough and lime dye, and they make slime balls. And that's really handy because it can be tough to find slime, especially in modded Minecraft. The dough recipe is also there's a mixer recipe with water and wheat flour, but there's with bulk washing, which is easier than dealing with buckets of water. You can turn wheat flour into dough. And to make wheat flour, we mill wheat and we get wheat flour. And we also get some wheat seeds and maybe a small chance of getting more wheat flour from that single wheat. So let's go through that process and make slime, and that'll allow us to check out these other machines. Okay, we had a creeper incident or two, and I had to fix a couple of creeper holes and myself. So let's walk through the entire process for getting green slime. Now we need wheat, which I have some. I have 6 wheat. We need 6 lime dye. Now in this mod pack, we've got Botania, which is great for getting dyes because you can very easily turn these mystical flowers into dye. I have some orange petals here, and we can just turn them straight into dye, which is nice. And to get these, there's 2 types of flowers. There's the regular size ones, and then there's the tall. And if we just grab a regular one, we can turn that into 2 petals, and the 2 petals we can turn into dye, right? So by planting and bone mealing petals, you get a tall flower. And if you just break a tall flower, it just disappears. But if you break a tall flower, let's do it on the lime one because we need that one, with shears, and I'm actually using a crab claw, but it works like shears. So pretend this is a shear. And I can break both of these tall flowers with the shears, and I get the 2 flowers. And tall flowers give you 4 lime petals. So with these 2 tall flowers, I get 8 petals. And then I can plant these 2, bone meal them, get the 2 flowers back, and I net 6 lime petals, which gives me exactly what I need, I can turn these lime petals into dye. Now I can just do that straight away here, or of course I want to use machines for this. So let's turn on the mill. And so the mill takes same setup, input and output chest with funnels, and the input on the mill is up top. And so you should drop stuff in the top. You can do this manually as well. You can even put this on a hand crank. So you literally only need the millstone itself and a hand crank, nothing else, and you can make these things. So if I turn this on, here it goes, and we put 6 lime petals in here, and they get ground into lime dye. Likewise, let's put our 6 wheat in here, and they're going to get ground up into flour. I already had some stuff in here. And so now I have 6 flour and 6 lime dye. Okay, so now that I have the flour and the lime dye, I need to turn the flour into dough. And again, I can do this in a crafting table with a bucket of water and turn that wheat flour into dough. But this right here, this bulk washer, is pretty amazing. So basically, there's a encased fan which blows through water, and anything on here gets washed. And you can do there's a lot of recipes from a washer, and it's a great way to craft all sorts of resources, starting from cobblestone. You crush the cobblestone and then you wash the gravel, you get things. That's for another conversation. But right now we can put this wheat on here, all 6 of them at once, and it's going to wash them, and they're going to turn into dough. And we just take it off, and now we have 6 dough. The way this works, it's not actually connected to our water wheels. It's a self-contained system. Let me just break this apart for a second. So we've got magma block down here. A campfire will work too. And we put an encased fan on top of it. Shift right click so it's facing down and the gear is faced up. And then we put a vertical gearbox on here. Then we need to power it with a lever. Once we do that, it starts to turn. And so encased fans need redstone in order to operate. And conveniently, this powers both the one below and this one here. And this fan blowing counterclockwise is blowing out. If it was turning the other way, it would be sucking in and wouldn't work. So keep an eye on that. Okay, now we've got our lime dye and our dough, and we come over to our mixer, which is this device right here over a basin. Now a basin, when you put a belt going in the away direction, it automatically puts this kind of spout here. So it automatically dumps stuff out. So you don't need a funnel to get stuff out, and you don't need a funnel to get stuff in either. You can just run things up to the top. In fact, I don't think you can even use a funnel to go into the side of a basin. So you have to push stuff up and in the top, which is why I have this belt going up here. But to put stuff in on the belt is a funnel to connect to the chest, like always, and to take things off the belt, funnel, and a chest. Now I've got a little bit of extra setup over here. I've got this gear shift, which is a device that acts like the gears outside, but it's a little more advanced. And when you power it, it doubles the speed. But I'm actually not even using it because I think it was overstressing the system. We'll take a look at that. So let's turn it on. Now this gear shift here, this lever's not on, so it's not actually doubling the speed of the other stuff, but we can do that. See how it goes faster. So this is using 320 stress units. If I turn it down, it's using 160. So let's put it on top speed. Let's turn it off and fill the chest so we can watch things happen. So we'll put the 6 lime dye and the 6 dough in here. And once we turn it on, these things are going to quickly go into the basin. And as soon as it can make the recipe, it will. And here out come the slime balls. And the slime balls come out into this chest. I already had 12 in here, so that's where these 18 are now. Now this basin is pretty handy for some other recipes. Andesite alloy is used in a ton of recipes. And in the crafting table, you get 1 alloy with 2 zinc nuggets and 2 andesite, or 2 iron nuggets and 2 andesite. But with the mixer, you get double. So this is the best way to make andesite alloy. Okay, let's make some andesite alloy. We've got 10 iron nuggets and 10 andesite. In a crafting table, that would be 5 alloys. But with this, we get 10. Let's speed it up. Now, basin can only hold 16 of an item, so if you put too many with a single belt, it'll get backed up. So you just have to be careful about that. All right, now we've got all this andesite alloy and slime balls, and we are in business. Okay, so now, like I mentioned before, you really can't do any real automation without having brass. And to get brass, we need to use the mixer with a blaze burner underneath it. And to get a blaze burner, we need some iron sheets and some iron bars. And then we have to go into the nether and capture a blaze with it. So let's make our blaze, our empty blaze burner, some iron bars and iron plates. I've got some iron plates in here. Okay, let's go catch ourselves a blaze. I'm not wearing any gold. That could be a problem. Let's risk it. Also not wearing much armor at all, but I've got the obsidian skull artifact on my belt, which makes me immune to fire. So I can sneak in and grab a blaze, hopefully, and get out. There's a blaze spawner, like right here. Oh, I don't have any arrows either. Good job, Scott. Oh, there's a spawner. Okay. And we run, and right click, and we got him. And we run. Bob and weave, bob and weave, bob and weave. And we are out. Okay, so now we just need to put this guy, this blaze burner, underneath the basin, and we hit him with some fuel. And let's just put copper and zinc in here. So that is the copper and zinc give 2 brass ingots. Now we can't put more than 16 because we have only 1 belt going into this basin, and it will block. It'll stop after 16 of the first thing are in there, and it'll gum up the works. So let's give him some fuel. There he goes. We turn it on. All right, and we have brass coming out. And there's our advancement for getting brass. Okay, now that we have brass, we can do lots of interesting things. There's a lot of components in Create that simulate player movements, move things around, filtering. If you remember earlier, the process for creating dye, we use the Botania Flowers. And if we have a petal and right click to plant it, you can kind of see it sparkling there. Then you bone meal it and it grows a tall flower. And with a shear or a crab claw, if you left click on it, you get the tall flower, and then you can turn that into 4 petals. So you can turn 1 petal into 4 petals, just like that. However, if you need a ton of dye, it's pretty tedious to plant and bone meal and shear all of those flowers. So we're going to automate that entire process with a pretty cool Create machine. Now, off camera, I collected all the resources that we need to make this. I've got it in 2 chests because it's kind of in there's kind of 2 parts to the machine. And we're going to build that here. Now, before we do, we're going to take a look at one of these things, which is the mechanical arm. You'll see it moves things from one inventory to another inventory. Making these mechanical arms, I discovered, requires this thing called a precision mechanism. It has brass casing, andesite alloy, all the pretty easy things to make now that we've got brass. But this precision mechanism is pretty complicated assembly. And I looked at this thing, I was like, huh? So I put this thing together. So you can see here, it requires 3 deployers on top of something, a belt or these depots. And each deployer, this deployer has a cogwheel, this one has a large cogwheel, and this one has iron nuggets. And you run gold plate through this, and you have to do that 5 times. So when the first 4 times it goes through, you get like an incomplete precision mechanism. So I put together a machine that does this for us. So you can see here, we've got this whole thing. Turned out to be pretty easy to make. There's 3 deployers, 1, 2, 3, and we fill their hands up with the small cog, large cog, and an iron nugget. And those are fed in through these chutes that are pointing down into these deployers with chests on top of them. And I just filled these chests with these small, large cogs and iron nuggets, just like that. Now, when I turn this machine on, you can see this belt in here goes in this direction, and we put a gold plate in this chest, and it just runs through here and gets hit by these 3 deployers as it does, and comes out into this chest. Now, we've got a filter on here, which is, so we ran this the first time without a funnel on here, and this is how the brass funnel works. You can filter things. So we put the incomplete component on this brass funnel, so it only lets out incomplete components. So when the component is completed, it will stay in the chest, and we'll see that in a second. So now we put our gold plates in sheets in this chest, and we turn this on, and we see that they come out and they get processed. This is so cool, this assembly line thing. They get processed by these things, and then the incomplete one comes out and goes back through for another time around, and it's going to keep doing that. Uh-oh, am I out of nuggets? I seem to be out of gold iron nuggets. That's good to know. Put those in there. And we're back in business. And each one of these is going to go through this process 5 times. Oh, this one needs another small cog. I should have made sure that those were all filled up. But I guess we learned something from this. That it's not the end of the world when this machine kind of runs out of its ingredients. There's one left. And they're all done. Now we come in here, and we've got our precision mechanisms. I had 3 in here already. And it also just produces some junk at the end. So we got a couple extra bonus things in here as we run through this process. Okay, so I wanted to show you that because I have never seen that in a video of Create. That's a pretty cool machine, pretty cool process, and we'll just throw those in there. Okay, let's get going on our pedal factory. So this first chest has the initial stuff that I want to get going with. Let's just grab all that stuff, put it in our inventory. I've already set up some of these adjustable chain gear shifts. And the way these work, if you put redstone on the source of the power in a chain of gear shifts, it doubles it. And if you put a redstone signal down the line on a non-powered section, it slows it down. So as we'll see, this is plenty fast, and I've got these positioned here to actually slow it down. So if I flip this, you see that one goes slower. If I flip this, it's going even slower. And if I flip this, it slows the thing down dramatically. Technically, you don't need those. It's just easier to demonstrate it. And we're going to get started right over here with some shafts out to here. And we need a vertical gearbox right here. And on top of that, we need a mechanical bearing. On top of this, we need 2 radial chassis. So now when we flip the switch, those radial chassis turn. Oh, we need some glue. We're also going to need our wrench. Where did I drop my wrench? Here it is. Okay. So with our wrench, we can quickly break these casings, which make it easy to work with. Okay, so we need some glue. On these sides of that we're gonna grow our flowers right here. So we need dirt, a block of dirt. And so our petals are gonna be placed here with a deployer. And so the sequence of the deployers is we need the first one to plant the petal, the second one to bone meal the petals, and the third one to shear it. And then the fourth one is going to be the portable storage interface. And we also need, on any of these types of contraptions, we need a chest to hold all the stuff, that input and output, that these deployers use. Okay, so the first one we want to put, I'm going to give it some petals. The second one we give it a stack of bone meal. And the third one, we need to set a filter first for shears so that it'll keep holding the shears. And with the wrench, we need the fist to hold the shears like that. So when the hand looks like a fist, it's like a left click. And when the hand looks like a pointer or this like palmed out holding something, that's like a right click. We also need a filter on this one. So it always puts petals in here. And we're going to use this attribute filter here. And it's set up right now. Let's clear it. We'll set this up manually so you can see how this works. So if you find a petal, doesn't matter what color, and drop it in this slot right here, then you can cycle through the different tags and attributes. And we want to set one that is tagged Botania Petals. And we click plus, and it puts it on this thing right here. When we check now, this kind of filter grid is set with petals. So now no matter what petals we put in here, it's going to put them out into this hand to deploy. So now we can put bone meal and petals in this chest, and it's going, because of these filters, it's going to feed these deployers with those ingredients. And this deployer, whenever it breaks something, is going to pull stuff in and put it in that chest. And that's how it works. We can watch this thing work now. First one plants the petal, second one bone meals it, and the third one shears it. Plants the petal, bone meal, shear. If we turn it off, we can see that the chest now should have some blue flowers in it. Perfect so far. Now we need to pull this stuff out of the chest, only the stuff that we want, which is the tall flowers. The petals and bone meal we want to stay in here. So over here, and it has to be 2 blocks away. So down here we need a crate or a chest. I like using crates because they just look a little bit better. On top of the crate, a chute. And on top of the chute, we need the other end of the storage interface. Okay, and when this comes around, it's going to connect to that. Now the chute is going to pull everything out of the storage interface and that chest, unless we filter it. So this is where we have our second filter. And this one is set up only with tall flowers. So again, we can put any tall flower in here and scroll down with the scroll wheel to things that are tagged Minecraft tall flowers. Plus, checkbox. And now this filter grid is set to only pull tall flowers out of the system. This will cause the bone meal and petals to stay, and the light blue flowers are going to pull out, and they're going to end up in this storage crate. Let's watch that work. They're already here. We're going to get another one in there for this next pass. So that's working. Okay, the next thing we need to do is turn these tall flowers into petals. And to do that, we need to pull the flowers out onto this depot with a andesite funnel, which will just pull anything out. And there's one flower at a time, and we only needed to pull out one at a time. If we needed several at a time, or if we needed to filter this, we could use a brass funnel, but an andesite funnel is all we need, and it's cheaper. Also, this arrow here indicates that it's pulling out. We can change the direction of that. If we go that way, it pulls it back in. Okay, now to finish out this first section here, we just need a chute up here with a chest on top of it. And this is kind of how we fill up the system. And this is going to become important when putting stuff back into the system automatically. We can fill with bone meal and petals, whichever ones we want to go, to get processed. And while that is still moving, it'll fill that up. The last thing here is a funnel on that chest. And we need it to go in. And that's how we can use mechanical arms to put stuff into that chest. We'll see that in a minute. Okay, so phase 2 is these things. And in order to turn these flowers, these tall flowers into petals, we need a mechanical crafter. This is basically a 1-slot crafting table. And if we put a flower in there with it turning, it'll process it and turn it into petals. And we want this side to be the output, and we need a depot right here. So when this is finished processing a petal, it's going to drop processing a flower, it's going to drop the 4 petals right here on this depot. Now we need to get this thing turning. So we'll just put, for now, we'll probably change these things because we're going to have to add to it, but we'll just put that there for now. And when we turn on this, it's turning our mechanical crafter. Okay, now we're going to put a couple of casings here, and we're going to put a mechanical arm right here. And this arm is going to take things from this depot and put them on into the mechanical crafter. We'll set that up in a minute. For that to work, we need a gear right here. And to turn that gear, this actually needs to be a vertical gearbox. So now when this turns, it's turning the gear on a mechanical arm as well as the mechanical crafter. Okay, so now let's configure our mechanical crafter. You do that by holding it and right-clicking on the thing you want to take the items from, and it's blue. And then you click on the thing you want to deposit them on, which is yellow. So I right-click twice to get this thing to put stuff from here into the mechanical crafter, and then we just place it back down here again. So now when we turn on our machine, it's going to take those flowers and put them in the crafter. And the crafter's turning, it's processing them, and it spits those petals out. And now this can't put the second batch on because there's already some there. Okay, next we need to get these petals off of this depot into where they're ultimately going to go. Some of them are going to go in there, and some of them are going to go into some storage over here. So first we need to put down andesite casing, and the arm is going to be here. We need to power it with a vertical gearbox and a gear here. This gearbox needs to be aimed over in this direction. And a gear here and a gear here. That's not interacting with that gear at all, but it's getting power from over here. So we got to replace this shaft with a gear here and a gear here. And the reason we're doubling up on these gears is because there's a belt and we need it to go in that direction up on this second level, which we'll put right here and here. And now we need a belt. And so now this is going to turn this gear down here, which is turning this gear up here in the opposite direction, going that way. This belt is turning, which is turning this gear, which is turning this gear, which is powering this gear and powering our arm. So let's now configure our arm to take things off of this depot and put them into that funnel, which is yellow. And we want to put it into 3 slots, clicking twice to turn it yellow. So basically what this is doing is 1/4 of the petals are going back into the system to keep that filled, and 3/4 of the petals are coming out into our storage. And so we'll put the arm down right here. We just need some storage. And we're going to put a chest right here with an andesite funnel going into it. So now this arm is going to pull petals off, put them up there, in here. It's going to go into that chest. Let's watch it work. The first petal's going up there. There's more petals coming off here, and it's putting them on the belt. Some more coming out here. It's also going to put those on the belt. Third one on the belt. And now the next time it's coming around, if we have any petals, it's going to put them up into there to feed them back into the system again. Perfect. Okay, now we can see the petals are collecting in this chest right here, but we need them to be turned into dye. We could put a mill over here somewhere and have them then go into the mill for processing. But we've already got a mill way down there, so we should probably use it. Now we could hand carry these things down to that mill, but that's kind of boring. So let's use the weighted ejector. We need to take the items out of here onto this ejector. And we need to power the ejector, which we can do right here from this cog. The way an ejector works is that it winds up with power and pulls something out onto it. And we'll put a brass funnel right here, which allows us to tell it to hold on until it has 4 of something to spit it out. If I look at it with this wrench, it's not configured, so it's just going to drop stuff right here. So we need to grab this. Oh, everything's coming out because of that funnel. That's okay. We need to set the target of this ejector, which will be this funnel right here. So we shift right click with the ejector, and now we can come down here and put the ejector back in its spot. And now if we look at it with the wrench, it's telling us that it's going way over there. So now we can put these pedals back in here and watch it work. So we power this thing. The ejector winds up. Set it to 4. 4 pedals are going to come out, and it launched them. And they landed down here. We couldn't even see it happening, but we already had 4 in here. They landed in there. Oh, there comes more. Did you catch that? There should be 16. So let's see if we can see this. It's winding up. Launched. Pedals in there. Okay, so let's turn this front side of this machine on, and we'll watch the whole thing work. It's grabbing the pedals, putting them in the crafter. They're coming out of the crafter. This arm goes to work and puts them down here onto this belt. They go into, and it launches them all the way down. Look at that. What is happening over there? Do you see that in the distance? An entire massive collection, and they see me. Look at this. Okay, now as a final test, yeah, it looks like it's clear of all petals. Now, if we put, I have half of the petal colors here or so. If we put a bunch of different colored petals in there, those are going to feed down into the system here, and it should cycle through the different colors. It's picking them up. And we're getting the different colored petals. And because they're coming in groups of 4, and that funnel is configured for 4, it's shooting them all out at once. And we should start to see these multiple colored petals in our crate down here. And now we just turn this on, and it'll start to grind them up. And there we have a full multicolored dye factory. Pretty cool. Wow, that was a lot to cover in this episode. I hope you learned a few things. I certainly learned a lot in the process of making this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, please subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.